And y'all got to see my dirty bathroom again. Oh my gosh, it keeps kicking me off. It keeps kicking me off. Hey guys, I'm glad y'all are back. It keeps kicking me off today, you guys. Look, I'm going to keep talking though. I'm not stopping until I read all of these. So this is part 3 of the Psychopath Free Scope. This is the book right here. I'm still talking about it. Hey guys, how are you? Thank y'all for coming back. Thank y'all for joining. Please invite your followers. This is a great conversation that we're having here. Yes, this is, I'm reading right now the 30 red flags for toxic people, which because of my marriage, I was married for 5 years to a diagnosed sociopath. This is every single thing I've been through. There were so many people in here earlier that were saying, this is my life. This is what I've gone through. And I hope that this brings healing to some of y'all. But like I was sharing earlier, number 13 is they once showered you with affection, and then they became completely bored with you, and you began to feel like a chore to them. So like I was sharing, in my marriage, we lived together. It's tripping. It doesn't want me to talk about this. That's why. We lived together for a year before we were married for 5 years. When we lived together and we were not married, he gave me so much attention. We went on so many dates. We had a very active sex life. When we got married, we did not have sex for 2 months. We did not. And over the 5 years of our marriage, we only had sex 10 times. I think I could count however many times we had sex, and it was about 10 times. I felt so rejected, so hurt, so unworthy. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I just wasn't good enough. And I didn't understand why he could go from wanting me so much to never wanting me and all of these different kind of things. That was a huge one for me. That was a huge one for me. And it's kind of like a knife digging in deeper into my gut, because every time I talk about that, people don't understand, because we have 3 kids together. I had 3 kids in 3 years. I literally basically got pregnant every single time we had sex during our marriage, which I am a person who in high school, because of my medical issues, was told that I would never have children. And I ended up having 3 in 3 years. It was insane. It was insane. I'm thinking mental because we're talking about my ex-husband, and we're talking about all these mental disorders. This is the book I'm reading from for those who are just joining. Psychopath Free. It's recovering from emotionally abusive relationships with narcissists, sociopaths, and other toxic people. I was married for 5 years to a diagnosed sociopath. My children are supposed to exist. If I shared every single story about my children, y'all would not even know. Y'all would not be able to deny it. My first child, my pregnancy saved my life. Literally saved my life. My youngest child, I was supposed to have a hysterectomy. I was on the strongest form of birth control possible. We had sex one time, obviously, because we didn't have a good sex life. I went in for my blood work before my surgery, and they said, I'm sorry, you're pregnant. We will not be able to do your hysterectomy. That pregnancy almost killed me. That pregnancy almost killed my child. But we both made it through, and we are both here today. I managed to have 3 children in 3 years when I was told I never would. Amazing. Amazing how God works. In spite of the circumstances that I was in spite of the terrible relationship I was in, I say that my children were my blessings, but they were my husband's curse, because he did not want them. He wanted nothing to do with them. He didn't want children when we were married, but God gave them to me. God gave them to me, and they brought me through that dark time. If it weren't for my children, I may still be in that marriage. If it weren't for my children, I may still be in that marriage, because the one thing I kept telling myself is my children deserve more than this. Deserve more than seeing what I'm being treated like. That I don't want them to think that that's normal. Amen. Okay, so number 4. They expect you to read, number 14, sorry. They expect you to read their mind. They stop communicating with you for several days. It's your fault for not knowing about the plans they never told you about. You should have known. You should have known. There will always be an excuse that makes them out to be the victim to go along with this. They make important decisions about the relationship and they inform everybody but you. You find out from your friend something that your husband or your mom or whoever told them and you say, why didn't you ever tell me? Anybody? Is that resonating with anybody? Number 15, you feel on edge around this person, but you want them to like you. Y'all, story of my life. You find yourself writing off most of their questionable behavior as accidental or just insensitive because you're in constant competition with others for their attention and praise. They don't seem to care when you leave their side. They can just as easily move on to the next source of energy. I remember thinking, he doesn't care about me. That girl over there could do the same things that I do for him. Hey, how are you? What's going on? I'm reading The Red Flags of Toxic People from this book, Psychopath Free. We are on number 16 right now. This has been broken up into 3 scopes because Periscope keeps kicking me off. We've had some good conversations, so y'all can go back and definitely watch the replays. I know there's so many people that know what this is like and understand these feelings. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. Y'all are so sweet. If y'all know anybody who needs to hear these things, please invite them in for them to listen. Please share these scopes with them. Please share this book with them. Maybe buy it for them for their birthday, for Christmas. I get nothing from endorsing this book. Nothing. This is not a paid endorsement. I don't even know this author. I will be doing a review for my blog, but it will be completely free. That's the way that I do my book reviews. I'm never tied to the person in any way, shape, or form other than I love the book that they do, because I want everyone to know that when I speak about something, it's truth. It's not just, it's not just me trying to get money off of it. Gonna be quiet. Just had 5 minutes over at work now. Okay. So sorry. Okay. So number 16. Hey, Plaid Fuzz, how are you? Number 16, an unusual number. Listen, y'all, this one's an important one. An unusual number of crazy people in their past. Any ex-partner or friend who did not come crawling back to them will most likely be labeled jealous, bipolar, an alcoholic, or some other nasty smear. Make no mistake, they will speak about you the same way to their next target. Hey, Plaid Fuzz, I'm sorry. I know Periscope's messing up so bad. It keeps kicking me off, too. This is the 3rd one. If the guy continues to say, every single one of my exes was crazy, do you know what I say to him now? Do you want to know my response? Are you sure that you did not make them that way? Because we need to be calling these men out. You cannot claim that every single person you've ever been with has just been some crazy girl. What did you do to make them that way? Because that's exactly what a psychopath, a sociopath, a narcissist, or another toxic person is going to say about all of the people in their lives. There is a common denominator. If every one of your exes was just some crazy, mentally ill person, they are not the common denominator. You are the common denominator. You. I'm going to call people out on that one. Number 17. Provokes jealousy and rivalries while maintaining their cover of innocence. They once directed all of their attention to you, which makes it especially confusing when they begin to withdraw and focus on other people. Anybody? They do things that constantly make you doubt your place in their heart. If you're active on social media, they'll bait previously denounced exes with old songs, photos, and inside jokes. This describes my ex from 6 months ago, y'all. They attend to the competition's activity and ignore yours. The guy that I dated 6 months ago constantly posted things of him and his ex-girlfriend before me on Instagram. He would constantly like and share other girls' photos on Instagram. And never mind. And if I ever brought it up, I was jealous. I was wrong. I wasn't taking him seriously. I just didn't believe that he loved me as much as he did. It was his job, whatever. He always had an excuse as to why he gave all of these other girls attention in these areas and never me. Huge. Number 18, idealization, love bombing, and flattery. When you first met, things were extremely fast. Like I shared earlier, I moved in with my ex-husband in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after we met, I moved in with my ex-husband. He was that charming. He was that manipulative. They tell you how much they have in common with you, how perfect you are for them. Like a chameleon, they mirror your hopes, dreams, and insecurities in order to form an immediate bond of trust and excitement. I thought that my ex was my knight in shining armor. I thought he was the only person in the world that could understand me. They constantly initiate communication and seem to be fascinated with you on every level. If you have a Facebook page, they might plaster it with songs, compliments, poems, inside jokes. Constantly have to make their presence known in your life. I would say, and it's not said in the book, but I will say, I believe that's a sign of marking you as their own. It's a sign of marking their territory, making sure that every single one of the people in your life says, oh, this person is now in their life. I take no responsibility. I do take responsibility. The fact of the matter was, I was in that moment I had just moved back home. I was living again with my mentally ill mother and my very abusive father, and I needed an escape. I needed a way out. I met him, and he was everything that I ever wanted, and he promised to give me everything that I needed, and I believed him. Yes, I believed him. I believed that he would be that escape for me. And I was a target. I was a target for him. I was a perfect victim for him because of my past, because of my hurt, because of my insecurity. People who are narcissists, people who are sociopaths, like he is, he's a diagnosed sociopath, people who are psychopaths and other toxic people, they recognize in other people what they can easily control, what they can easily manipulate, what they can easily do. And for him, I was that easy person. I was probably the easiest person. Maybe he had a couple people on his radar. He was seeing a couple other people at the time. I was the easiest person for him to convince that he was basically a god, that he could fix my life, that he could be everything I wanted him to be. And I believed that. I did. I believed everything that he said. Many leaders are that way too. Absolutely. That's why many cult leaders are psychopaths, are sociopaths, are narcissists, are all of these things. Even some pastors, they have all of these traits, and that is why they become leaders in the first place. Because that's what they desire of people. Yes. Very smart, very smart. High IQs, usually very attractive, usually, very charming. They don't come to you and seem dangerous. They don't come to you and seem harmful. They don't come to you and seem like the wolf that they are. They come to you and they seem like the shepherd. They come to you and they seem gentle and kind and loving, like they can guide you and be everything that you need them to be, and they never are. They never are. Let's see. So number 19. Number 19, they compare you to ex-lovers, friends, family members, and your eventual replacement. When idealizing, they make you feel special by telling you how much better you are than these people. But when devaluing, they use these comparisons to make you feel jealous and inferior. I will say, this is something that people do need to hear. As the person being abused, we tend to adopt the behaviors and the tricks of those who abused us. And this is something I want every single person to hear. This is the way that we were manipulated and controlled and kept in that relationship. Usually in our next relationship, in our future relationships, if we do not recognize those patterns, if we do not break ourselves of those patterns, we will go on to do these exact same things to the person that we are in a relationship with in order to feel like we are no longer the victim, in order to put ourselves in the position of being the top dog in the relationship, because for so long we were the person being hurt and we don't want to be hurt anymore. So we will come in our next relationships and we will do these things to others because we believe that's the normal way to take control in a relationship, and it is not. It is not. I remember at the end of my marriage, I started using these tricks on my husband because that was what he used on me. I thought it was okay. I thought it was normal. I thought, well, if I do this to him, then maybe he'll see what it's like. Maybe it will make him love me. Maybe he'll understand. Oh no, more burning pumpkin. Stop burning your pumpkin. Maybe he'll understand me. Maybe he'll know where I'm coming from. Guys, do not allow yourselves to become the same as the person who destroyed you. Don't allow yourself to get to that place. It's way too easy. It's way too easy. It's way too easy. That's why so often the bullies are the ones who at one point in their life were being bullied. That's why the child at school who's picking on your child is the one who goes home and is picked on by their father, by their mother, by their neighbor. We need to remember that when we're thinking about our relationships and our lives, when we're thinking about what these people are pouring into us. We believe it's normal. We believe it's okay. We begin to mimic it. We begin to do it. We become those people. Don't allow it to happen. Number 20, the qualities they once claimed to admire about you suddenly become glaring faults. Amen. At first, they appeal your deepest vanities and vulnerabilities, observing and mimicking exactly what they think you want to hear. After you're hooked, they start to use these things against you, and you spend more and more time trying to prove your self-worth to the very same person who once said you were perfect. My life. Story of my life. Number 21. Hey, Henry the Healer, how are you? Cracks in their mask. There are fleeting moments when the charming, cute, innocent persona is replaced by something else entirely. You see a side to them that never came out during the idealization phase. It's a side that's cold, inconsiderate, and manipulative. You start to notice their personality just doesn't add up. The person you fell in love with doesn't actually seem to exist. Anybody else? Oh my gosh, speaking to me. Number 22, I know. And look, it keeps kicking me off of my own scopes. This is part 3. So y'all go back and watch the other ones. Did y'all have that? Have y'all ever experienced that? I remember, and there were so many, all of these are red flags, and all of these things came up before we were married, but I always pushed it to the side. He always had a good excuse. He always had a reason why something happened. I pushed it all to the side. Number 22, we're almost to 30, you guys. Constantly surrounded by other people, stimulated and praised all the time. They surround themselves by people who feed their ego 100% of the time. Absolutely. And narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, toxic people, this is not just talking about men. This is men and women. This is anybody. This is in any relationship. I'm simply relating it to my marriage because my ex is a diagnosed sociopath. So this is my experiences. There are plenty of men who have been in relationships exactly like mine, where the woman is the psychopath, is the sociopath, is all of those things. This is not a gender-specific issue. This is not a man-bashing issue. This is not a woman-bashing issue. This is about recognizing these traits in other people and recognizing that is what the problem was in these relationships, in this marriage. Yay, I'm so glad you're back. You're going to have to go back and watch some of the replay. Right now we're at 22. They constantly surround themselves with people who give them praise at all times. They can't tolerate being alone for an extended period of time. They become quickly uninterested by anything that doesn't directly impact them in a positive or thrilling way. At first, you might think they're exciting and worldly. You feel inferior for preferring familiarity and consistency. Amazon doesn't like your debit card. Oh! Boo, I had that problem. Are you on PayPal? Try PayPal. I had that problem the other day. It was making me so mad. Triangulation. This one speaks to me. They surround themselves with former lovers, potential mates, and anyone else who provides them with added attention. I do not have iBooks. This includes people that the psychopath may have previously denounced and declared you superior to them. This makes you feel confused and creates the perception that the psychopath is in high demand at all times. He constantly pits you in competition with all of these other people. Constantly. All right. Number 24, you guys. We don't have much longer to go. I'm sorry. This is part 3 of the scope. This is getting long. Covert abuse. From an early age, most of us were taught to identify physical mistreatment or blatant verbal insults. But with psychopaths, the abuse is not so obvious. Hello, have any of you ever wondered, is this really abuse? Is this really abuse? I don't think this is abuse. So many of the women who come to me, they say, I feel abused, but I don't think he's ever abused me. Anybody? 100%. So subtle that you barely even notice it. So subtle. You don't notice it until it's completely torn you down and you don't know what's happened. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what happened to the person that you were before. You likely won't even understand that you were in an abusive relationship until long after it's over. Long after it's over. It took a friend of mine after my divorce saying, Krista, do you remember the day when you were pregnant and you came and slept on my couch because you were scared for your safety? Do you remember that day? I cried for you ever since that day. I was afraid for you ever since that day. And do you know that I did not even remember that happening until she said it. I did not even remember that happening until she said it. Yes. And like I said earlier, this could be men or women. This is not just men are not the only ones who do this. Women are not the only ones who do this. This is a personality trait. This is psychopath, sociopath, narcissist. That's traits of their personalities. It is not a gender issue. I don't want to turn it into a gender issue. Yes, long after, then you realize what happened to you, but it's not until after. And it's usually not until you're fully removed, and it's not until you've had some truth spoken into you that you realize that it was abuse. Whew! From an outsider's perspective, this describes my divorce to a T. From an outsider's perspective, you will appear to have lost it, while the psychopath calmly walks away completely unscathed. This was me in my marriage, in my divorce. The church thought, you're a crazy person. What's wrong with you? Because this was me, breaking down, hysterical, crying, fighting, getting in their faces, getting in the church members' faces and saying, how dare you? How dare you treat me this way? How dare you say these things to me? Don't you know what he's done? Don't you know what he's said to me? I was hysterical that he was gone. Hysterical that he had just walked away. Hysterical that I was now single. Hysterical that I had these 3 kids to now take care of. Had no idea what I was going to do. I was a basket case. I was a literal basket case. What did he do? He calmly walked away. He sat with the pastors with a smile on his face. And he said, she just is sick. She has mental illness. There's something wrong with her. She's been like this our whole marriage. That is who she is. If your marriage falls apart, and I want everyone to hear this, if your marriage falls apart, the natural reaction is for you to fall apart. For you to fall apart. If the other person is holding it together, that's a sign that something is wrong with them, not you. You should not be able to hold it together. You should not be able to hold it together at all, in any way, shape, or form. When your marriage dies, your hope dies, your future dies, your family dies, when that happens, you should not be able to hold it together. You shouldn't be asked to hold it together. You shouldn't be expected to hold it together. You should mourn. You should weep. You should wail. You should be on your knees, on your face, freaking out. Your life at that moment, as you knew it, is over. If you can keep it together, there's something wrong with you. The fact that he could calmly walk away from a wife of 5 years, from 3 children who were 3, 2, and 1. The fact that he could walk away from that and was mad about the fact that I didn't beg him to stay. The fact that I didn't beg him to stay caused him to calmly walk away. Was not on me. Was not my fault. I did nothing wrong. The fact that I was calling the pastors crying and hysterical about being kicked out of ministry was not a sign that I was crazy, was not a sign that I was overly emotional, was not a sign that there was something wrong with me. It was a sign that my life was falling apart and no one was helping me. No one understood me. No one was listening to me. No one was on my side at all in any way. It was not my reaction that was the problem. My reaction was 100% acceptable given the circumstances that I was in. And somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear that it's okay to fall apart. Somebody needs to hear that it's okay to look like the crazy one. You're not the crazy one. You're not the crazy one. Somebody needs to hear that. That needed to be said. Like, very forcefully, that needed to be said. Number 25. Pity plays and sympathy stories. Their bad behavior always has a sob story. They claim to behave this way because of an abusive ex, an abusive parent, or an abusive cat. They say all they've ever wanted is some peace and quiet. They hate drama, yet there's more drama surrounding them than anyone you have ever known. Look. I will say this too. So often, as a victim of someone living in these circumstances, the drama of our ex, it's like we're a magnet for that. It begins to surround us as well. And so the lie then becomes, and this needs to be said as well, the lie then becomes that because we are surrounded by drama, we are the crazy one. It's us. Recognize what it is that's actually drawing the drama in. If it's you, yes, you are the problem. If it is because you are with someone who draws drama to them like a moth to the flame, if it is because you are with someone who intentionally creates drama, that's not on you. That's not your fault. The fact that drama follows you may just be the fact that you're surrounding yourself with people who love drama. Protect your circle. Protect your circle. Because the lie that you are the crazy one because drama's always with you is going to start to seep in. If you know for a fact the drama is not in your life as a result of your actions, then you have the ability to keep the drama out by placing boundaries, by kicking people out of your life, and by changing your circumstances. That needed to be said about that point as well. Number 26. We're almost done. We have like 4 to go. The mean and sweet cycle. This is with any abusive relationship, right? Sometimes they shower you with attention. Sometimes they ignore you. Sometimes they criticize you. They treat you differently. Look, I'm speaking all the things that have been in my heart for 5 years, you guys. Woo, it's pent up in there. It's built up in there. They treat you differently in public than they do behind closed doors. When he left me, my friends all took his side. My friends who had only seen us a handful of times together because he constantly kept me away from other people, all took his side because he was the quiet one. He was the sweet one. They never saw him do anything wrong to me in public. They never saw it. They thought I was lying. You're a liar. We never saw him talk bad about you. We never saw him get in your face. We never saw him push you. We never saw him do any of those things. So you must be a liar. You think he's doing that in front of other people? No, he's doing that at home when it's me and him by ourselves behind closed doors. How stupid do you think an abuser is? Most abusers are not. No, this is not a women and a men's issue. Not at all. I'm not going to say that again. This is, no, because this was all my women friends supported him. Let me see. This person becomes your entire life. This becomes your entire life. People take the side, usually, of the person who is the charming, manipulative person. In most cases, women are going to support the ones that they feel is right. Men are going to support the ones that they feel is right. Usually, in cases of abuse, the abuser is the one who comes off looking like the good guy, unless there's some, insane instance that's happened where the woman one day shows up beaten to a bloody pulp and there's evidence of it. That is when people will take the side of the victim. Very rarely is that what happens in an abusive marriage, though, especially when it becomes to abuse by psychopaths, narcissists, sociopaths. They don't want to physically harm you. They want to break you. They want to break you mentally. They want to break you spiritually. They want to break you and just leave you there. They don't care about really laying their hands on you. The times that my ex physically harmed me, I don't know if it was necessarily he was trying to physically harm me. The time he pushed me down the stairs was he was trying to keep me away from his control of our child. So he pushed me and I fell down the stairs. The times when he really physically hurt me was he was pushing me because I was getting in his face and I was trying to be strong and stand up to him, and he pushed me out of the way. For the most part, he was not physically abusive. For the most part, it was breaking me down emotionally, pouring lies into who I was. None of those things can be seen by the outside. None of those things can be seen by other people. All right, let me finish this quick before Scope kicks me off again. 28, 29, and 30. Arrogance. Arrogance. Despite the humble, sweet image they present in the early stages, you start to notice an unmistakable air of superiority about them. They talk down to you as if you are intellectually deficient and emotionally unstable. They have no shame when it comes to flaunting new targets after the breakup, ensuring you see how happy they are without you. So much that. Number 29, backstabbing gossip that changes on a whim. They plant seeds of poison, whispering about everyone, idealizing them to their face, then complaining about them behind their back. You find yourself disliking or resenting people you've never even met. For some reason, you might feel special for being the one he or she complains to. But once the relationship turns sour, they run right back to everyone they once insulted to you, lamenting how crazy you've become. And if you try to tell those people, well, this is what he said about you, because that's what I did. This is what he said about you. That's wrong. I wouldn't say that that's common. That is a sign of a toxic person. There are lots of toxic people out there. It may be common in that way. But I fear that when we say that's common, we make it seem like it's okay. It's never okay just because there are a lot of people who do it. It's never okay and it's never right. Never. That is a huge red flag. That is a sign that that person is not mentally stable. That is a sign that that person does not have a place in your life in any way, shape, or form. And number 30, your feelings. Your natural love, it's very, very real. Very, very real. I never talk behind people's backs. Never. 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 I don't even have a desire to talk behind people's backs. No. If I'm talking about someone not to their face, it's usually I know it happens, but it is not okay. If I'm ever talking about someone not to their face, it's usually with an issue that I'm dealing with that person that I need counsel about. It's usually when I'm speaking to someone about an issue that I've had that I need someone to speak truth to me about. It is never in a condescending way about that person. It is always in response to myself and my situation. Talking behind someone's back, spreading gossip. I don't hear gossip. People that I keep in my circles don't gossip about other people. If I ever heard someone in my circle gossiping about someone else, I would walk away. I would not participate in any way. Is what the same? I don't participate in negative speak about anyone in any way, shape, or form, unless it's someone seeking counsel about an issue that they're having with someone that requires, usually when we're dealing with someone, it requires a mediator. It requires a common friend or someone to come in and speak with both parties so that it doesn't. Hearing gossip or talking gossip, I wouldn't say those are the same things, but if I ever heard gossip, I would walk away. I don't think it's the same. You can't control what other people are doing. If a bunch of people in the room are doing something that you don't approve of, I mean, your participation is key, but if you don't approve of it, walk away and don't be a part of it. Don't show your support for it. I don't think they're equally bad. Stopping someone in their tracks, that's something that it can be done. I've found usually it just adds fuel to the fire. It just adds fuel to the fire. If they're talking bad about someone and you try to step in and stop it, it's not going to correct it. It's going to make it worse. That's why I say for me, my choice would be to walk away. But I don't typically hear things like that ever. I'm not around those kind of people. And I know that might sound self-righteous. That might sound like something. But the people that I'm around, we don't focus on other people's lives. We focus on ourselves. We focus on our personal growth. We focus on our life. We focus on what's going on with us. If we have an issue with someone, we go to each other. We talk about it with each other. With these people, we seek guidance. We seek counsel. That's maturity. That's a maturity issue. I surround myself with people who are socially mature. Okay, number 30, your feelings.